my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or any source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family and explorers of consciousness. I'm the void one.
What is going on? All right, whatever. Let's go.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Oh, broadcasting live from a shack. You guys know it now, for sure. Broadcasting live from a shack on a hill from the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. Live, unedited, uninterrupted, unless it's a technical issue. Unsolicited. We don't know what's going to happen. 501-777-5631 is the call-in number. It is what it is. It's not pretty sometimes, man. It's just not pretty. It's Thursday night, the 19th, 2024. And this is one of those things where I have no idea what's going on. Like I told you guys, this computer's ancient and it's not ancient, but for what I do, it's pretty ancient. So what I'm looking at right now is my task manager. This computer keeps me alive. It keeps the show alive. We need your God, mother love and support if you can bring it. I might have to do, you know what I might do? I haven't done this in a long time, but I don't know if I can do it again, but I might do one of those marathon broadcasts to raise money for a computer. I did this in Arizona, but I was up for 72 hours and it was worse than last night. Did you guys see, if you were watching the show last night, how tired I was? Like my left eye was starting to close. Like so last night when I was doing the show, I was so into what we were talking about. It was keeping me awake, you know. I'm just exhausted, man. I don't know why. I guess I'm getting old. But I might end up doing that because I'm keeping an eye on my task manager here just to make sure my CPU doesn't blow up. Okay. So, did anybody try the thirst method yesterday? Did you guys try that? I thought about that until I fell asleep. Like this guy that we've been, getting into has tried every method under the book. Like he's made himself suffer so that he can get out of body. I'm not into suffering. I don't know about you, but like suffering for suffering's sake is the stupidest thing in the world to me. But also, like, to be like, well, I'm just going to give myself hunger pangs, or perhaps make myself so thirsty that I'll be stressed and it'll make me have an out-of-body experience. Like, I don't think he's promoting that, but I think what he's saying is that's what made him figure out that the out-of-body experience was caused by the will from those stress factors on the body. No one's saying that, though. But not stresses from, like, and it's not like it sounds, okay? So the out-of-body experience it's not easily done, right? This is why, some people do it sporadically and they don't even know why they're doing it. You have to really work at it before you can become proficient at it. It's a skill. It's a spiritual skill, actually, in my opinion. It's a spiritual skill. But what he was saying last night is there has to be a desire inside of you. It doesn't matter what that desire is, that's kind of not being met, that causes a stress, and the will kind of pushes towards that stress. At the same time, your body, your physical body, needs to become incapacitated so that your will moves out of your astral body out, right? So even the desire to have an out-of-body experience will cause that, quote, stress that he's talking about. I don't think you have to make yourself thirsty or whatever. But anyways, I didn't get to say hi to everybody in the chat. You guys are cool for coming out and saying hi every single night. Domek, Gypsy Jenny, Grant gets out, Claude, Vigilante, Claude, Sir Wolf, Cosmic Samurai. What's up? Jayan, and I guess, is that everybody? Where did Susie go? I thought I saw Susie. Yeah, okay. So we're going to get back into Muldoon, and I think everything's cool. So there's two things going on with this show all the time, just to keep you updated. We do the live broadcast Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights. And for the longest time, during the live broadcast, we mostly talk about, and I'm kind of experimenting with this, but we mostly talk about OBEs, NDEs, and consciousness, like practical consciousness, methods of exploring it, and cool stuff like that. The videos that I put out, specifically the pre-recorded ones, have everything to do with the occult and the esoteric. And what I'm trying to do is get people that listen to the YouTube channel to see the parallels in both of them, because some of them are so hard to explain and my brain's all over the place that I can't say it in words. So if I just do the bite-sized content, I'm hoping some of you will pick up what I'm putting down. Like, you'll actually start to, smell what I'm stepping in, right? So, back to Muldoon. Now, Sylvan Muldoon, just a quick recap, has made some clear laws about how to astrally project out of your body. And I'll just say it in Joe Roop terms. So, the will moves both bodies. First, we learned in the beginning of this text, according to Muldoon, that it isn't the brain in the body that keeps us alive, so to speak, that keeps us conscious. It also isn't the brain in the body, the physical brain in the body, that, let's say, makes us as who we are, right? I'm moving my arms, I have a personality, I'm making choices, I'm aware, I'm sentient, I'm doing those things. The brain processes information. It does that, right? So your memory will go, just like in a computer, your memory will go if your RAM messes up, the processor messes up, the storage messes up. But the person behind the computer, the thing that's running it, in this sense of the word, that's typing on the keyboard, is your etheric self, that etheric double. So when you're doing things in your body, or your astral body, it doesn't matter. That's what's running the show. It's just our physical body has a computer called a brain, a very complex computer that runs this machine that makes it all perfect. Now, number two, like, you're not actually seeing with your eyes right now. Your eyes are taking in the physical world, but you can see in the astral world through your etheric body without eyeballs. You don't need them. So that's kind of weird. So what he's trying to tell everybody is that whatever this thing is, your star self, which is what the word astral means, your astral body is the thing that's running the show as far as life and consciousness and observation and taking things in is concerned. The physical body takes in senses from the physical world, but we can still take in information from the astral body. I hope that makes sense. So, number two, the astral body. Am I on number 2 or number 3? Because I'm tired. I'm just not as tired as I was last night, but I'm still pretty tired. But I'm pounding coffee. All right. So, now that we know that, what do we have to experience this etheric double and learn things in it. We're not talking about the esoteric right now, not the occult. We're just talking about experiencing the etheric double. We've all had dreams. Most of us have had lucid dreams. What's up, Dragon Rose? Most of us have had those. I'm talking about the experience of the etheric double projecting out of the body, where you never lose consciousness, right? This is why it doesn't feel any different when you, let's say, either peel yourself out of body or you project somewhere into the room. If you're 100% energetically and aware in your etheric double, it won't feel different than you feel in your physical body. You'll feel lighter for sure. You won't feel like the heaviness of the body, but the rest of reality feels the same, almost to the T, except for maybe like a slight hum. Now, if you haven't had that experience that I'm talking about, then you haven't projected into your etheric double. In fact, if you're asking questions, right, like, did I? Then you haven't. You could even dream about, this is something that I learned too, because I used to project, or I thought I was astral projection, but I was really having dreams that I was astrally projecting, flying around, things like that. That's could be the same thing, but it's not. It's not. I promise you it's not. I'm going to get every one of you some bitches to do this. You're going to have this experience, and then you're going to be like, that's what he was talking about. It's kind of like the first time you do DMT, you just understand everything, right, for a little bit. Or is that ketamine? I forget. But anyways. Okay, so we know that. Now, when we go to sleep, we're either conscious or unconscious. So right now we're conscious. While we're talking, my astral body and my physical body is conscious. My etheric double is conscious. My physical body, I'm just conscious because I am my etheric double. I'm just inside this meat suit. When we fall asleep, our etheric double, our astral self, will become unconscious, so to speak, just like our physical body does, and the subconscious takes over. This is why all of a sudden we wake up in a dream, we don't even know how the hell it started. How did it start? So we're a long ways away from being in the etheric double, the phantom, or the astral body. We're in the dream world. In fact, if we rewind the tape, our body's laying somewhere, our etheric double has let loose, and depending on how much energy our etheric double needs is how far away from the physical body the etheric double will go, right? That we're not talking about being conscious in it. We could be totally unconscious. Our etheric double sleepwalks just like we do if we're physically sleepwalking. In fact, when we physically sleepwalk, our etheric double is sleepwalking inside of our physical body, and it's taking it with it, right? Sometimes it slides out. Sometimes it rises to the ceiling. Sometimes it falls to the floor. Now, the only times we actually feel this from the dream world when we're not trying to be in this astral body is like when we have that falling feeling, or we're, that, or when we jump, sometimes we just start feeling like we're falling or something like that. That's actually your etheric double a lot of times. They don't say in science, they're like, well, it's your stomach or it's a brain thing. No. That's your etheric double either coming really quick back into the body or falling from it. And then you wake up and you're coinciding back in the body. So we have to be conscious first and foremost. And then we have to understand how to be in this phantom or etheric double or whatever as it either peels out or steps out. And so Muldoon, I'm trying to sum all this up simply. Muldoon understood this. Well, the only way is when you have the will, right? Not just the desire. Desire is one thing, but the will is the thing behind it all. The will is the thing that's behind your habits. It's behind your dreams. It's behind your desires. So when your will moves the astral body, when the physical body becomes incapacitated and it falls asleep, your astral double comes out. That's what happens. You have to will to move, just like when you walk, except think of it this way. Like when you want to walk, you walk. But this time it's like, I want to walk, but my body doesn't work. So the astral pops out, kind of goes out with it. That's the key to it all. So how do we get that will? And this is where we left off last night. How do we get that will to get us to do that? Because we can think about things that we desire all the time, but to really understand this is to understand the will. And this is why I was talking about how it corresponds with magic, the occult, and the esoteric, and they were all about the astral realm too, because the will was everything. So when you come to understand the will, you've got it mastered. Now, all of the OBE teachers, right, hint about this. They don't really call it the will, but they'll do things that represent things that the will would do. Like, for instance, William Buellman says, if you astrally project and things are fuzzy, like you can't see. Well, if you can't see, you're either sliding in and out of consciousness to unconscious, or you're sliding from the dream world to the etheric, and you're just stuck in some kind of weird state trying to find it. If you're not getting clarity, he says, make demands, right? Clarity now, vision now. And you have to really demand it from your heart. Well, what is that? That's your will. So it's just like in life and in anything we do in life. Like if we really desire something and we demand it, there's a difference in demanding something that we know we can do or have, or that we deserve with beyond a shadow of a doubt, and making a demand or a call to something when deep down we're not really sure if we deserve it or if it's going to work. That's weak will. So there are things in our life that we have strong will about, depending on our lives, and other things that we really desire, and we're trying to tap into our will, but there's a program that's not allowing us to have it, right? So the will is a little weak there. Now, this is the same will that Catholic priests and other people talk about in religion when they're so-called battling demons and things like that. Your will has to be greater than the demons, or vice versa. Everything comes down to the will. So that's another complex conversation about the will, but we'll get deeper into that later. But to astrally project, we have to remain conscious. The physical body has to become incapacitated, and we have to have the will to move regardless. So it's no different than if you were laying there, in your conscious body, and you just sat up. It's the same thing. You're actually sitting up in your etheric double. It's just your body's with you. That's all. The difference is the physical body becomes incapacitated, but the thought and the motion and everything that you're doing is the same. So exactly the same. You don't feel it. You don't doubt it. You don't think about it. It just happens. So in order to get there, we have to work on our will, our ability to relax, and understand how to do methods that are going to get us to that state where the physical body can become incapacitated while we're still conscious, but we have to be able to move through all that regardless. Now, that's the complicated part about it all. That's it. And there's a lot of people that have good methods, shortcut methods. There's tons of good teaching about it. People are getting out of body. But I want to understand it. And so where we left off last night was Muldoon was talking about that we have desires, and then we have the stress of those desires that are unfulfilled. That stress is the thing that keeps us alive, actually. It's the thing that keeps us going. When we have those stress factors upon us, there's that energy behind it, which is the will that wants to fulfill that desire always. So as long as we can keep that or make that happen, that's going to be a big thing for us to get out of body, especially when the physical body becomes incapacitated. Now, for me, the way I got started was I didn't have any other wills or tricks or anything like that. I just became extremely obsessed with wanting to get out of body. That was all I cared about. Matter of fact, the outside world kind of shut down for me. I was still going through the motions, but my focus and everything was all about that. And I still had to do it so much to get through all these programs in my head, like the doubt that this shit's even real, right? All of my sleep habits and all of those things, my ability to focus or listen to voice guided stuff, and just still be exactly who I was as I was moving out of body. It took a few weeks. And just like I said the other night, just like magic and the occult, the moment I let it go, I still kept trying, but I just got to the point where I was like, well, maybe it's probably not going to happen, but I'm having fun doing it. That's when it happened. And I felt no different, no more or less aware. Remember that part, like no more or less aware of reality than I do right at this moment. I'd never forgot anything. I never lost consciousness. There was no illusions. Right. And so we live in this place too, where we have to remember that a lot of people have their own perceptions about what this projection is. There's a ton of people out there that think, and they're not wrong. It's just different levels of it, right? What we're talking about is moving around in the etheric double and the phantom, and then moving on from there. Right. But there's a lot of people that think that active imagination is astral travel. There's a lot of people that think lucid dreaming is astral travel. And here's where it gets tricky. There's a lot of people that think dreaming about astral travel is astral travel. What we're talking about, astral travel, anyways. It's all a form of conscious exploration or journeying. But I'm just telling you, the one thing that's going to shift your paradigm and change your life and give you a different outlook on the whole world, life, and everything out there is the etheric projection. The one where you're actually moving around in the so-called physical world. You're watching yourself sleep. You can visit other places, other people, that place. If you haven't experienced that, that's what I'm about on this side of things. Okay, so now on the magic side of things, I'm all about what they're both talking about when it comes to this place. So we're going to get back into Muldoon. I think this book's incredibly complicated, and the subject can be so incredibly complicated. I wanted everybody to have a clear understanding of what I'm talking about and my perception and experience of when I say astral projection, what I'm talking about. Okay. So this guy would get his heartbeat below normal because doing that would help his body become more incapacitated so he could astrally project. And I think that's kind of where we left off. So if the heart was below normal, the physical body becomes passive enough for the astral body to move out. It's just like, so when we relax, our heart rate begins to slow. When we do rhythmic breathing, like let's say the fourfold breath, just that basic one. Inhale into the count of 4, holding to the count of 4, exhaling to the count of 4, that same boxed breathing. If you do that slow enough and relaxed enough, it will lower your heart rate every time. It won't feel like it at first, especially if you're having a panic attack or something but if you just keep doing it, keep pushing through it and just keep doing it, keep relaxing, slowly your heart rate's going to come down. So he learned how to do that, but also use his mind to get his heart rate to lower even more. And he says, if the heart rate be below normal, the physical body becomes passive enough for the astral body to move out shortly before consciousness is lost. And that's the trigger point right there at twilight. The subject notices the astral body's movement when this happens. This is when you're aware of your astral body because it'll start to move and you haven't lost consciousness, so you know it's there. So the doctors were giving him a stimulant, and he says if you remember, they gave him strychnine, and if you give someone a cardiac stimulant and the physical body will not become inactive enough to allow the astral to rise until long after unconsciousness has intervened. And further, the stimulant holds the astral body very near the physical body. So all of you people that are pounding Adderall, and I get it, I understand why you got shit you need to get done, and it makes life a lot easier. But it's going to be a lot harder for your etheric double to move. I mean, you might pull it off. You might stand outside your body for a second, but you're going to feel like a drag, So when the astral condenser is run down, the astral moves out of coincidence with the physical body more rapidly than when it is holding a fair amount of energy. This is why he talks about people that are nervous or have nervous conditions actually means that they lack nerve energy. And they'll experience the same things that people experience that have their heartbeat below normal when they enter sleep. Now, the guy said, I stopped taking the strychnine pellets, and in a few days, I observed the rate of my pulse was dropping, and it was not long before I was again experiencing the things I formerly experienced. Then I made another discovery. I could control my pulse rate by means of my mind. After going to sleep and relaxing, I would concentrate upon my heart, and in less than 2 weeks, I could speed up my heartbeat or slow it down. That's pretty cool. Can any of you guys do that? Yeah, you have to astral. Yeah, you have to. You're not. Yeah, in Hermetics, Dutchie, the way they have it set up is you're not even really supposed to do astral work until you balance yourself as a whole, including your mind, right? That's what the whole process of the 4 elements kind of thing is of, quote, magic, right? This is reprogramming yourself to come into a balanced nature before you start doing that work. But all is mind too, right? So after retiring and relaxing, I would concentrate upon my heart, and then it only took him 2 weeks. I want to be able to do this. I can relax. Maybe my heart rate does. I know it gets lower when I relax. I'm really good at relaxing. But to be able to like speed it up and slow it down, those are like superpowers, man, to me. So he stopped taking the pellets. Now he got his heart rate back. But the ability to reduce the pulse rate also enabled me to induce complete physical incapacity of the physical body at will. Now, he's going to teach us how to do this, though. He said, and it's coming up, but while realizing that the 2 major factors of astral projection are proper stress of suggestion and physical incapacity. Proper stress of suggesting, what that means, right? And physical incapacity. While concentrating upon these essentials, realize that there are numerous minor factors which contribute to two major ones, and will learn to include every possible promotive element. So I shall now enumerate some of these, and you will no doubt be able to think of others. So this is when he was talking about yesterday, to keep the room a little bit cooler than normal because of the way your circulation is, and anything taken into the body which produces a stimulating effect like liquor, medicine, certain foods will exert a negative force, mostly because the stimulant works against physical incapacity. Your emotions should be calm. The mind should not be. The mind doesn't have to be relaxed so much that it falls asleep. A focused mind is different than a calm, relaxed mind, right? It's a little different. Now, when you retire or go to sleep, if you retire greatly with a greatly troubled mind, that very condition of being might actually create the stresses which you need. Now, this is different than what Monroe teaches. Monroe has you go into this, what he calls an energy conversion box. So first you do your relaxation exercises, you listen to the ocean waves, then you step up to the box, and you put all of everything that you're worried about in this box, right? So you imagine yourself doing all that. Now, of course, with hypnosis, when the suggestion comes from the operator instead of from some subject himself, I guess, having, a blank mind is essential. But in the type of projection we are now studying, the mind of the subject himself acts in the same manner as the mind of the operator in hypnosis. So Robert Monroe did figure this out, though. See, hemisync kind of keeps your mind active. Not only does it keep it active, it keeps your hemispheres synced together. And two, right as he had this method of like, right as you're about to fall asleep, or your body is about to fall asleep or whatever, he would start talking. He would make sure that, keep listening to the sound of my voice, kind of like hypnotists do, that kind of thing, to keep your mind stimulated but focused. So in self-projection, when you don't have someone guiding you through it, the suggestion comes from your own mind. In projection induced by hypnosis, the suggestion comes from the mind of someone else. If in fact the mind were calm, there wouldn't be, no suggestion would come forth during sleep. Consequently, you probably wouldn't have an astral projection at all. It wouldn't be brought out. Your etheric double always kind of does something when you fall asleep, but without your mind being focused upon something, it wouldn't happen. Okay, so the vital factor in projection is the stress of the mind. And he uses, I think he should use a different word than stress, because when I hear that word, I think of all kinds of bad stuff. The conscious mind can be greatly troubled before the subject goes to sleep, and that stress, which is there, continues to stay at the surface, of the subconscious. Recall the incident of the man who went to bed worrying. Remember that guy? He was worrying that he was thinking he'd left the shop door open, and the stress of it remained on his mind. And even when he fell asleep, his astral double moved out of his body and went and checked on the door. So if you form the opinion that the mind must be calm in order to produce projection of the astral body, you'll be forced to revisit this idea, for passivity of the mind is a sure way to prevent projection. It's a good way to meditate. It's a good way to relax. But to astrally project, it's not really going to help you. Okay. Listen to this, though. This gets weird. He says, I've noticed that there's this unusual sound which awakens the phantom, the tick of a clock, the drafting of a stove or furnace. Sounds which have become familiar and pass unnoticed do not seem to affect the experiment. Naturally, a country environment is more suitable to the experiment than a city environment, so far as the sound element is concerned. So anything and everything which contributes to the comfort and relaxation of the body, which can be instituted during the attempt at the out-of-body projection should be put into use. So any form, just relax, right? It's advisable to use a little bed covering, as little bed covering as possible. And then he goes, we talked about this yesterday, the weight upon the body and what it does to it. Heavy bed covers, not a good thing. They induce dream states a little more. Also, the clothing, I think he goes into like it'd be better to wear less clothing, almost actually be naked. Now, I had an out-of-body experience when I was like 3 or 4 of them when I was in a chair. And he says this: projection of the astral body can take place while the subject is seated in a chair, but lying in horizontal position is greatly to be preferred. There's so many reasons for practicing this phase at night rather than during the daytime. It would almost seem like a waste of time to try it, to enumerate them, but they should be self-evident by now. At night, there are not so many influences to distract your attention from what you're concentrating upon, and you will find that you can think of self, which is important, with much more ease at night than during the day. Also, projection of the astral body can take place at any time. I've noticed that, as a rule, it occurs several hours after the subject has been sleeping, and usually after midnight. Now, this is after the sleep, right? It's only natural that this should be so, for during sleep, the physical body becomes less active. He's still reiterating the same stuff. All right, one of the most certain ways of ensuring the projection of the astral body, and especially a projection which is conscious from the outset, is for the subject to go to sleep several hours and then begin to project in the astral body just as he is becoming conscious while he is in the hypnagogic state emerging from sleep. So when you're waking up in the morning. Lying upon the right side or upon the back are the two positions best suited to astral projection, although it can take place regardless of how your body's lying. Let's see, lying upon the back has always produced the best results for me, and you will probably find that this position is especially favorable if you're trying to produce the OBE and the hypnagogic state. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not really, right at this time in my life, or at this time during all of our experiments and stuff, I'm not interested in doing it from a dream. Not just yet. I got to get at least 4 or 5 more of you like doing this stuff. And then I think we should work on the dream stuff. So the sensations of floating and of rising up upon the air are more easily produced by lying upon the back. One reason for this is that the blood is prevented from circulating freely along the spine with its many nerves, thus deadening one's feelings of contact with the bed. The sensation, regardless of where it primarily originates, is decidedly what is wanted for producing astral body uprising, provided, of course, you enjoy the sensation. You know, that's something I haven't asked you guys, too. Like, the ones that have had the sensations, like the vibratory state, and being able to actually get out for a little bit, is it something that's negative to you? Does it scare you? Let me know in chat. There you go. See, Teresa says, it's not hard. I've done it. I practiced last year. You can do it. Yeah, once you set your mind to it, you'll get it done. You'll realize it's not as crazy hard as a lot of people think. All right, now. Yeah, I'm going over a lot of stuff we talked about last night, but all right, let's talk about light. The astral body will separate from the physical with much greater ease and total darkness. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I'm sure it helps, but total darkness helps people sleep too, and it's really good for meditation. But I don't know. Let's see what he has to say. Although light has a tendency to bind the astral to the physical more securely, it is true that projection can be accomplished regardless of darkness or light. As a rule, only the most advanced student will be successful in doing so. Dude, I've had several out-of-body experiences in the daytime on purpose. So I don't consider myself advanced in this at all. Maybe I am, and I'm just not giving myself enough credit. Perhaps knowing this, you may believe it's best to attempt development in total darkness, and it is true that many occultists advise this, but for my part, I should never offer such advice, for there are many reasons why total darkness is not the most suitable condition for the amateur. And perhaps you will say, yeah, I know why. It's because you wouldn't be able to see if you were exteriorized. And that's not true. You can see in darkness a lot better in your astral body than you can in your physical body. Your cataracts don't get involved. In fact, a lot of times the dark room isn't even dark anymore. It's kind of see, he says it's foggish. There's like this foggish light everywhere. Kind of like when you see in your dreams, but a diffuse light, we might call it. A light which seems not too bright, and yet it's not too dim, apparently sifting right through the objects of the material world. But have you ever gone to sleep in total darkness, then awakened and not been able to comprehend where you are? Do you recall what an unpleasant effect the bewilderment of the situation had upon your mind? You have to remember that you had no sense of direction, thinking that your head was where your feet should have been. Has that ever happened? Or the bed was turned around, or that the door of the room was not in the place where it should have been, those kind of things. Most people have, at one time or another, experienced such an awakening in total darkness when they've lost their sense of direction. One friend told me that he awoke one night in total darkness and tried to find the door of his room, and that he was so bewildered that he went in a direction directly opposite to where the door really was and ran into the dresser. He opened the drawer of the dresser and tried to crawl into it, thinking that he was opening the door. Yet he insists that he was entirely conscious at the time. He then began feeling around the walls for the door, which he eventually found. So let's suppose, for example, you go to bed with your head. I know this sounds silly, don't it? But let's suppose, for example, like you go to bed with your head at the head of the bed and your feet at the foot of the bed, of course. The windows to the right of you, the doors to the left, the dresser to one side, etc. In other words, you go to bed consciously orientated and you're aware of your position. You go to sleep. Now later, you awaken and think you're lying in a different position to the one you really occupy. You lost your sense of direction. Now, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Do you think it's because you can't see in total darkness? And that this has caused you to lose your sense of direction? So why doesn't your consciousness, which told you your true position before you went to sleep, direct you to the door, which is to your left? Do you think this is because of a lack of vision, like you can't see? So if that's the case, so why don't you become bewildered in your direction when you go into a dark room? So here's the solution to the problem. Well, let's first establish that there's a problem. What's up, Dan? I've never had this. The only time that I've ever woke up in a dark room and didn't know where I was after a party, or it had nothing to do with astral projection. You know, like when you wake up in a bed and you don't know how you got there, and if it's dark, you really don't know where the hell you are. But I've never had that happen in the astral, so I don't know what he's talking about. Let's see what he's getting at. Unless some of you, if you have, let me know, because I don't know what he's talking about. So you might go to bed consciously aware of your position. In fact, you could get up again before going to sleep and go out of the room with your eyes closed, simply because you know your position. You can walk in the dark because you have memory of everything. So why is it that after you slept for a little bit, you sometimes believe that you're in a different position to the one that you really occupy? You can get up and walk to the place where you think the door is and find the dresser instead. What has become of that consciousness which, quote, knew where you were formerly and can take you from the room with closed eyes? Well, sometimes this happens. Well, just tell me, man. When you go to sleep, the astral body rises out of the physical and can be at a different angle than the physical. The senses during sleep are keen and impress the fact to the mind that the body is lying in a different angle. So when you awaken in the physical, the impression made by the astral body having been at an angle to the physical is in the mind. And of course, you think that you're lying at a different angle than you really are. And being unable to see because it's dark, you can't prove this or disprove this. So thus, you get up and start towards the spot where you think the door is and run into the dresser instead. And you'll remain under this impression until you can prove by sight or feeling that you're under a delusion. Has this happened to you? This hasn't happened to me, man. I think this happens to children though a lot. You know, have you ever seen like my son used to when he fell asleep when he was a kid he would sprawl out at all different angles on the bed and have crazy dreams, and then he would get up and start moving towards, like, where are you going, man? Like towards the wall. I guess that's what he's talking about. But I think that just happens to kids until they get older. Maybe this just happened to this guy and he thinks it happens to everybody. I don't know. Another way of explaining this point is stand a person in the middle of the street, blindfold them, and yet he will know which way he's going because he was conscious of the direction before he was blindfolded. He doesn't have to depend on his sight. He just knows. But blindfold him and whirl him around and he will lose a sense of direction. And that is how the movement of the astral body during sleep can cause the subject to think that he is in the physical where he was in the astral. So when we go to sleep in total darkness, we're liable to awaken thinking we are in a different position to that we really are, and give the matter no thought and go to sleep again. So if you're in this condition of mind thinking that you're in a different position to the one you really occupy, this has an extensive, and let's say you have an extensive projection, and then suddenly something happens which starts the astral speeding back to the physical body. Like, I don't know, you got to pee and your astral body comes back. The subconscious will land the astral body at the spot where the subject thought he was and not directly into the mechanism. Oh, I see what you're talking about now. I was confused for a minute. Like, what are you talking about? Here's another reason why he says, don't try to do this in total darkness. He said there's sort of a reluctance in your mind that it's kind of true. If you have ever undergone the terrifying experience of having a violent repercussion in total darkness with the sense of direction missing, if there's anything which is truly unnerving, it's to experience a violent repercussion accompanied by a terrifying dream and then be unable to see or realize one's true place after you wake up or becoming conscious. So not only, let's say, all this stuff happens, but you had a nightmare. So your astral body comes flying back, and now you're in total darkness and you don't know, you're delusional about which way you're sleeping, which makes things even more of a pain in the ass. So long story short, what he's saying to the beginner, which is kind of redundant at this point, is don't do it in total darkness, especially if you're kind of a high nervous person. Just put yourself with enough light to enter the sleeping chamber so that you can immediately discern your true position in relation to other objects in the room. The instant you awaken, make sure that you can do that. If there's anything you do not want to do, it is to lose your sense of direction, for this not only has its physical effects, but often affects the astral body as well. A dim twilight is the best possible light condition for the practice. Well, isn't that kind of strange? Because that's the best possible scenario for occult practices too. You don't want a whole bunch of light and you don't want total darkness. Candlelight is kind of like the perfect thing, right? Claude says, yeah, it makes me think of dogs chasing things in their sleep. Yeah. What's up, Tahuti? So excess light, he goes on, that can cause you to go back into your body faster. Have you ever heard the steel run along the length of the string on a Hawaiian guitar? What is he talking about? An interesting little experience I had once. We're gonna have to do this radio station thing, but I want to get into this. So an interesting little experience he had once involved light. The room in which he usually slept had a window which is directly in line with the street lamp. So lying in bed, he could see the fight through the window. What fight? The light. There's so many freaking typos. I want to punch So lying in bed, he could see the light through the window, and it in turn casts its rays into the sleeping room. Now, sometimes the lights are turned on at a later hour than other times by the local electric company, depending upon the time of year. So one night he went to sleep when the light was not on and was succeeding in producing a conscious projection. He moved upward out of the physical to a distance of about 2 feet, and just at this point, one of the lamps flooded the room with light, and down went my body back into the astral with a zing and a repercussion. I believe that this was the longest zing sound I ever heard. And it felt as if my brain inside my skull were trembling, as if I could feel the noise. Can you imagine, like, slowly rising, like, oh, like you're coming out of your astral body, and like one of those, AP&L street lights just come on, and it's like shit, and you fall down into your physical? That's what he's talking about. And he heard this zing sound. Have you ever heard the steel run along the length of a string guitar? That's what I'm talking about, a Hawaiian guitar. That's exactly the sound, and it often accompanies interiorization, or you falling back into your physical. So from this, you can see the detrimental effect of too much light. It might be of interest to add here that many people who suffer from nightmares have found that by sleeping in a lit room, they've been able to avoid them. So much for the light problem. Or a lighted room, I guess. So Carrington, quoting Lancelin, has these additional factors listed. I'm sorry. So I want you to imagine that I'm reading something here. Imagine this. I'm reading something that every freaking time it's supposed to say where there's an L, it has an F. So right here it says, Carrington, quoting Lancelin, has these additional factors fisted. I have to read through these typos. That's funny. Listed, not fisted, which influences astral projection. As my own experience has not dealt with them, I give them for what they may be worth in influencing your own development. Here's one: humidity. The air should be dry and clear. 2, atmospheric electricity. If it's high, this is going to screw everything up. And we know that. We call that stuff like EMF. If there's a bunch of electric crap going on around, that's going to hurt us. 3, sex. This should preferably be male for the projector, female for the recipient. What? What does that mean? Sex. This should preferably be male for the projector, female for the recipient. Are you just describing sex, or seer of the phantom? What does that mean? Am I missing something here? Anyways, I'll figure that out during break while he's talking about that. Sitters. If possible, projector and seer should be alone. What has been stated concerning sitters is only of interest when this has got to be another typo, man. Right? It can't. What is this word? Sitters. What? Yeah, look. SITTERS. If possible, projector and seer should be alone. What are you doing to me here? Fucking live shows, man. What has been stated concerning sitters is only of interest when the experiment is undertaken in collaboration. That is, when one is attempting to appear to a seer. Is that supposed to be seers? Or where the subject believes that the presence of some sympathetic friend is at his side would be beneficial to his success. Okay, sitters. All right, so a sitter is a person that's right next to you, kind of like when we listen to the Monroe tapes and those people are going out of body. And like Robert Monroe's just sitting there right there, like asking him questions and stuff. So when it comes up to sex, I guess people use sex to get out of body, and the male needs to be the person that's going to project, and the female for the recipient or seer of the phantom. That makes sense. So if you're using sex to get out of body, which I haven't even got into that subject yet. That's supposed to be down the road before everybody starts thinking I'm weird, but he just talks about it right here. So the male should be the person that gets out of body, and the female should be the person to visualize the phantom. Both of you get out of body, right? But the male will project the phantom more, if that makes sense. If you're using that method, it's okay. And then he talks about some experiments. So some of these that he just mentioned, he's going to talk about some of these experiments too. But guess what? Take a while. Just guess. Did you guess it? We gotta do the radio station thing. Not your favorite time, I know. But at the same time, it's a good time to grab a drink, have a smoke, go to the bathroom, get some coffee. We still got a little less than an hour to go. All you void walkers out there, hit up Teresa. She can, maybe you can get some suggestions from her if you haven't had your first OBE yet. We'll be right back.
Inside my head, there's a little place left for you. What do you know? What do you know? And all I want is to find out what you're going through. What do I know? Maybe the silence is dangerous.
Talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our two signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Root. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name's Tim Doyle, lead member of investigations for UFO seekers. I've spent the last 5 years in the field investigating UFO sightings and the topic of aliens. But after getting back to headquarters, when I'm finished reviewing footage and after videos are uploaded, when I open my iPhone to start streaming radio, I choose the Fringe FM. And you should too.
Afraid you've lost it all.
Tim said so.
Unsure.
Biffy Bop.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void here live on Fringe.fm. Thank you for listening on the radio station too. You can, the website is under maintenance right now. We're redoing the whole damn thing over at Fringe.fm. So if you want to listen to the station, do it at TalkStream Live, the Paranormal Radio app, TuneIn, Live 365, Streama, Kino Radio. God, there's so many places you can listen to the stream. So we're back into Muldoon's How to Have an Out of Body. Well, his is like the Astral Body. That's what it's called, by Sylvan Muldoon and Jane. You said, is there a PDF version out there? Well, how do you think I got it? I just Googled. I don't even remember where I got it from, but I just Googled Sylvan Muldoon because I found this Reddit post that had all of these super old, like all of the best books about the out-of-body experience. And this one I never heard of because it came from the 20s. I just don't remember where I downloaded it. But I know that you can, for sure. I could probably drop it in the Discord after the show or something. Maybe, if they don't try to nitro me up so I'll pay for it. Anyways, back into the steadies. Telepathic repercussion. Here's a little experiment which I first came upon by chance, then tried it intentionally, only 2 different subjects, and attained similar results. One lazy afternoon, my brother, who was then 12 years old, was lying upon the bed, intended to take an afternoon's nap. I thought I would follow his example and lay down beside him. So we're talking about more than one person here. There was a space of about 1 foot between us, and we both were dozing off to sleep. I was thinking of astral projection unconsciously, not intending to project, but just thinking about it in a relaxed condition of mind of that seeming miracle which I had so often experienced. But my mind was far from tense, far from thinking of the one who lay beside me, my brother. I recalled that I was just thinking how the astral body moves out of the physical, just in a casual manner sometimes. Thoughts relating to the phase naturally followed one after the other. Then came the thought of how the body often repercussed. And no sooner had the thought entered my mind than my brother had a violent repercussion. If this had happened but once, we might call it a coincidence. But when it happens repeatedly, there's some foundation for belief that the mind of another person can influence the movement of the astral body. So in order to see if this occurrence were mere coincidence, I tried the same arrangement again and produced the same results. So then I tried a variation of the arrangement using mental effort. I would be down beside my brother about the time he was ready to go to sleep, and by an effort of will, there's that word again, I would try to bounce the astral body back into the physical after forcefully suggesting in my mind for some time that he was out of coincidence. But this did not work. The forceful, conscious thoughts did not have the same effect as the casual and calm thoughts did. I might say unconcerned thoughts, take it or leave it thoughts of projection and repercussion. I've tried this same experiment on 2 friends since and have found the result to be the same. Casual and calm thoughts of separation and repercussion produced repercussion, while willful, intense thoughts had no apparent effect. It is possible that the subject, while going to sleep, was in a receptive mood, and that the rising of the astral body into the zone of quietude, being in harmony with the thoughts issuing from my mind to that effect, brought about an attunement in which the mind and the astral body received the impressions from my mind by telepathy. And that when my thoughts turned to repercussion, the astral body would fly back into the physical. This is a classic. This is what I hate about books. So, not all books, but like especially older books. There's such an easier way to say that. Why make stuff more difficult? You know, why not just say, hey man, I used to lay down beside my brother and sometimes I'd be thinking about him astrally projection and coming back to his body real fast. And you know what? The moment I was thinking about it, it happened. So I got kind of curious about it and I experimented with it, and come to find out every time I had thoughts like that, it would happen. But if I stressed about it, it wouldn't. It was only like when I was thinking about it, it didn't matter if it happened or not. End of paragraph. Done. See, we all understand that, I hope. I feel like I got to jump through hoops sometimes to get, study this stuff. If you're writing a book, please, for the love of God, imagine somebody's reading it. Of course, he did write this in the 20s, so maybe people talked like this then. I don't know, So what he's basically saying is that he's convinced on his part that almost any 2 people can produce this effect by doing exactly what he said. And if you're attempting astral projection, if you wish to have some sympathetic friend try to assist you, I believe that this would be the best possible exercise to attempt at first, as it registers, we might say, when the minds are in attunement. And thus the 2 are able to find the route to more extensive experiments. I'll give the exercise again precisely as it should be followed. Whoever you are and your helper should lie down side by side upon the bed or wherever the experiment is to be tried. It's best to do this at night when you intend to go to sleep. Do not think of what is being done, merely going to sleep in a natural way. Just go to sleep naturally. But the person that's assisting you will center their mind upon the fact that the astral body of the subject is rising out of the physical body. There must be no tension in the mind of the assistant. He must merely visualize it in an unconcerned manner. Just like I was telling you before, it doesn't matter if it happens or not, right? It doesn't really matter. The astral body of the subject moving out of the physical to a distance of 3 or 4 inches just as the subject is rising to sleep, and he must not try to force the thought, allowing the vision to bring its own relative thoughts. So let the thought, start thinking about it. Don't really concern yourself with it, but just start thinking about it. And then let thoughts start coming to you. And pay attention to the ones that concern the astral body. And eventually the thoughts of repercussion. At this last thought, the subject should repercuss. That means suddenly fly back into the astral body, like fall back into it, So from then on, The mental condition of the assistant is what counts for results. Merely holding the thought and the vision of the subject's astral body being in the zone of quietude and then changing the thought to one of repercussion. It will be found that the repercussion is not severe enough to cause discomfort for more than maybe just an instant. However, my advice is to attempt astral projection without the assistance of anybody. And once you know exactly what to do, do it. When you do this, you develop a stronger self-control, a sort of self-mastery over the situation, and will not be influenced by the conscious or unconscious thoughts transmitted from the minds of others. Well, I can tell you from an esoteric point of view that this is not a good idea, you know. Definitely not. Getting your energy involved with other people, you better be damn sure you like being stuck with that person, especially when it comes to your astral body. It's the same thing with like ceremony. People used to want to do, let's do magic together. Every time I did that, it would cause a shitstorm. It's better just to do this stuff on your own, actually. If you want to like go hang out in the astral realm somewhere, that's cool. But I personally wouldn't do this unless you have like a partner that you know you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Like no chances of you ever breaking up, right? So then do it. Now, he says this, though. If this is kind of cool, and you might find this to your advantage to try this, if it's necessary for you to have a seer partake in the experiment, let the seer stay in the next room and have it understood by everybody that they are to keep their hands off. Even go as far as when Christ said to Mary, "Touch me not." Perhaps you did not understand the significance of this or why one should go to such extremes, but if you have ever experienced the conscious projection, all these seeming irrelevancies will be self-evident to you. Do not talk to others of what you're trying to accomplish. This is a valuable tip. Perhaps you're not aware of it, but if you're really desirous of producing a projection, keep the desire locked up within yourself. The stress is it, and the stress promotes projection. Talking of projection somehow relieves the stress within you. Damn. Well, we just blew it all, man. We've been talking about it for a long time. You know? Maybe we're screwing ourselves here. Now what do we do? I guess show's over, according to Muldoon. No, I think what he's talking about is like, especially if you're trying to do like people you live with and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. He could be talking about everybody. I've had people try to mess with me, man. Like not, well, in some weird kind of ways, but they were weird people. I've had other people say that my astral body was doing things to them that I wasn't aware of. People I didn't even know, which is kind of a weird thing to say to somebody, right? Do you guys remember? Do you remember in the occult that Harper Crack kind of sign of silence thing? This is why, and I'm a talk show host, so I've screwed myself on this a million times, and it's caused a lot of shit in my life. I don't want to go down that road, but there's a reason why you should keep silent about your work. Whatever you're doing is between you, yourself, and your spirit. And if you want to share it with others or you want to talk about it, cool, but they definitely need to be cool people and they need to be on like the same level as you. Like respectfully on the same level. So anyways, that's all drama, you know. So let's get into how do we, all right, so we understand how the etheric double comes out. So how do we, here's the hard part. How do we induce the incapacity of the physical body without our astral double going to sleep? And that's what's in chapter 11. Damn, we're already on chapter 11 in this text. So during natural sleep, we know that the physical body is incapacitated, more or less. But in order to make this incapacity more pronounced, The heartbeat must be slowed down. So this is where he gets into that. And he's already explained how he stumbled upon this fact. So the first thing which you are to do upon retiring for the night or upon retiring for any other time is to assume a comfortable horizontal position. So lie down. You see what I mean? Say all that shit. Lie down. Preferably on your back. If you cannot possibly tolerate lying up on your back, then on your right side. So I'm presuming now that you are reclining in a horizontal position upon your back with your hands lying at your sides. Take a deep breath and just hold it for a second. Then try to force that breath into the pit of your stomach so that the diaphragm bulges out at the point. Then exhale, forcing all of the air out of your lungs. Repeat this about 6 or 8 times. This is only for the purpose of relaxing the solar plexus. A word of advice and this connection from Mr. Carrington's book on yoga will fit in nicely here. It's very essential to feel the relaxation of the solar plexus so that you can consciously feel that it opens like a flower just below the spot where the ribs divide. If that be tense, it will stop your development until you can relax it. The thing to do is to concentrate and get enough control so that you can feel it, and then you can relax. The solar plexus itself is like a great octopus. It is the biggest nerve center in the body, aside from the brain, and is the ruler of the sympathetic system, the digestive and other vegetative functions. So for that reason, the stomach should not be full when these yoga exercises are undertaken. Close your eyes, and he goes on next. Close your eyes and picture yourself in your mind. What? Close your eyes and picture yourself in your mind. How do you do that? Now, starting at the top of your head, think of your scalp and try to move it by tensing the proper muscles. My scalp. Can you guys do that? Try to. Yeah, I think he means do not cast pearls among swine. Yeah. Well, can you guys picture your scalp? Now try to move your scalp. Can you see my scalp moving? I can't move that thing unless I do that. You remember when we were kids, we used to like put our hands here and move our head, our scalp, and like how weird that feels and looks. Okay. Try to move it by tensing the proper muscles. Next, think of your jaw and tense and relax it a few times. Next, think of your neck, tense and relax the muscles in it a few times. Next, your upper arms, then your lower arms. Then grip your fists and relax them. Then, I'm just blowing through this. Then starting at the base of the neck, go downward, thinking of each body part in turn. Try to tense the muscles at each particular spot until eventually you are tensing and relaxing your toes like a cat, tensing and relaxing its paws while purring. I'll do the same thing in my Art of Relaxation audio thing that if you would like to support the show, you can download. There's all kinds of downloads. You can, if you say you love my voice, right? Well, use my voice to help get you out of body. That's Joe's commercial for the night. And if you join the Patreon $10 thing, you get access to all of them and all the ones that are coming too. All right, so here's the part that I don't do. Now, I don't do the scalp thing either. That's weird. But all like the face muscles and all that stuff, that works. It is kind of weird trying to relax your scalp. You can't. That's like you can't do it. All right, so after you do all this and you're like really relaxed, now concentrate upon your heart, not with tension of mind, but think of that organ with relaxed thought. You will start to notice its pulsations and be able to feel them at the spot in your chest. Keep your mind centered upon these pulsations until they are very pronounced, until you can feel them and hear them. Remember, you do not feel these pulsations with your hand. Keep your hands at your sides. You just have to feel the heart inside of you beating or pulsating. These will be the same pulsations which you feel in the back of your head. And when you are projected and within cord activity range, you'll feel these. And they are, in fact, the only genuine physical feelings you possess while projected. Unless you feel the weight of the bed coverings over you, that is. So, all right, so that is you're doing this within cord activity range. A duplicate sensation permits the pulsation to be felt as they're in the physical counterpart. So, and as you can now feel them by concentration upon your heartbeat, the easiest way is to be upon the left side, but not the preferable way. What the fuck is he talking about? Just concentrate on your heartbeat till you can feel it and hear it. Now, after you've acquired the ability to lie still and both feel and hear your heartbeat within your chest, which you will no doubt acquire in 1 or 2 trials, your next step is to be able to feel and hear the pulsations in any part of your body by concentrating upon that particular spot. So I'm assuming that you're lying according to my instructions, and while in a relaxed condition of mind can both feel and hear your heartbeat or pulsations. Listen to them. And listen to them closely. They're going thump, thump, thump. Yeah, mine does. Mine does that when I'm freaking out. I don't hear it and feel it unless it's like, you know, you're in a fight or you're working out or something. I don't really feel it when I'm relaxed, but I'll try it. I'll let you know what happens. Now shift your center of concentration to your neck. You can feel your heart beating in your neck. Same thing. And now that you can feel the pulsations in your neck, shift your thought to your cheeks and you'll soon feel it there. And just as you have pronounced pulsations in your cheek, then go to the top of your head and center your thoughts on that steady thump, thump, thump. Now you feel them there. You'll actually be able to feel your scalp, is what he's saying at that time. Now shift your thought back again over each particular spot, the cheeks, the neck, the chest, and keep on going downwards. Now you can feel the pulsations in the pit of your stomach. Do not shift your concentration until they are very pronounced. There they are. Thump, thump, thump. I like how he writes this book. It's funny. It's kind of like how he's writing this is how Anthony Tyler kind of writes Dive Mind. So now you can concentrate a little further down in the lower abdomen. That is an easy place to feel the pulsations, almost as easy as feeling them in your neck. It's also possible, remember, by proper concentration to withdraw the blood from different parts of the body. Now that they are perfectly plain, you can concentrate, the thumps that is, you can concentrate upon your thighs, both at once, and there you will feel the same thumping. And he writes, thump, thump, thump. Now concentrate upon the calves of your legs. Come on, man. You can feel your heartbeat in the calves of your legs. And as soon as you can feel the pulsations regularly and plainly, concentrate upon your feet, the very soles of your feet, and you'll be able to feel your heart pulsations very plainly in your feet just by thinking about them. Now go back to your calves. Now go back to your thighs. There are the pulsations. Next, concentrate on your right thigh and forget about the left one. See, you can feel the pulsations of your heart anywhere you concentrate. I see what he's getting at. Why don't he just say that? The next time you have literally cold feet, try to increase the circulation in your feet by doing what I just instructed. If you will concentrate upon the medulla oblongata region and cause the pulsations to be felt there, you will know exactly how the pulsations feel at the point of astral projection or where the cable is. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never felt like a heartbeat when I was astrally projecting. The root chakra, anyone? Yeah, I thought he was going to start going there with it. Now feel the heartbeat in your gooch. Thump, thump, thump. So, yeah. You really, honestly though, even though it's funny to say, you should focus on that. You should focus on every body part. It's just hard to say it when you're instructing it. I say it in mine, like in my instructional relaxation tapes, but I forget what I said. I didn't say anything graphic or anything. But that's cool. I'm going to try that tonight when I go to sleep. I'm going to try to feel the heartbeat, see if it works. I'll let you guys know. Now, he says one word of advice before going further. If you are a victim of heart disease, do not attempt astral projection, for the heart is a vital factor and often runs very low during a projection. And as you know, the welfare of the physical mechanism during the projection of the astral body depends upon the function of respiration. So on the other hand, if your heart is reasonably sound, there's nothing to be alarmed in this suggestion. So now that you have the knack down of feeling your heart pulsations in any part of your body through concentration, the next step is to be able to reduce the speed of the pulsations, which is not difficult to do. What is desired in astral projection is a slow but steady heartbeat. And during your concentration upon the organs, I'm trying to listen. All right. I know I'm reading this weird, but I'm going through typos and weird grammar stuff. So I'm trying to say this in my way too. So what is desired in astral projection is a slow and steady heartbeat. During your concentration upon the organ, assume that you are one intelligence and that it is another. So assume that you are separate from that heart or that organ, and that it can understand your thoughts and obey it. So just start assuming that your heart will obey your thoughts, for that in reality is about the true situation. The heart is controlled by an intelligence behind it. The subconscious intelligence, the subconscious parts of your brain control all of the body stuff that you think is just doing its own thing. So your thoughts, your concentration can be considered another intelligence. So if you desire to decrease or increase the speed of your heart, assume that it is governed by intelligence. And perhaps you've tried to drive thoughts or directions into your subconscious mind and have afterwards said to yourself, how do I know whether or not my suggestions convince the intelligence? I'm not conscious of it. It's subconscious. Well, with your heart, you can tell. Because if you tell it to slow down and it slows down, and then you tell it to speed up and it speeds up, guess what? It's working. Yeah, I just saved us a paragraph. He goes into like a really long paragraph about what I just said right there. Feel the fist. Yeah. Feel the fisting of the heartbeat. So many people become annoyed when they think that their subconscious mind will not obey the very first conscious direction it is given. And many do not like the job of repeating over and over an affirmation before the subconscious mind obeys. But just think about this a minute. What would happen if the controlling intelligence did act upon the very first time that you thought about anything? Suppose you just had a thought that your heart stopped, and suppose the innate intelligence should immediately obey that suggestion. Wouldn't that be a bitch? Fortunately, the subconscious mind is not so easily controlled. Yet, it's also not too difficult to persuade to slack up a little bit or speed up just a little. You just have to keep repeating it over and over again. Yeah, I get what he's saying right there. Can you imagine what life would be like if like all of the organs that you had in your body just reacted to your first thought? Like, I wonder, man, my kidney hurts, or I got a kidney infection. Oh, that's your conscious, like you're your kidneys would just shut down or something, right? Yeah, I get what he's saying. So let's resume. So we're now supposing that you're lying on your back, relaxed with your arms at your sides. You've acquired the ability to feel your heart's pulsations in the part of your body, and now you're concentrating upon your heart again. And if it's not steady, you're able to tell it in your mind that it is to steady itself, and you are to catch the rhythm of the proper beat and the beat time in your mind, concentrating upon the thump of the heart at the proper rhythm. Keep this exercise up until your heart is beating steady. Now, if it had been unsteady before and you have steadied it, or if it be naturally steady and healthy, you're now ready to concentrate upon a slower beat. Think only of these pulsations. Concentrate upon the pulsations which you feel in your chest, in your heart. Beat time to them in your mind, even allowing your head to move slightly at each beat. Like this. Bump, 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 bump. I feel crazy reading this shit. After keeping up this true rhythm for several minutes, begin beating time in your mind just a little slower. Think that die heart is beating a little more slowly. That's a typo. Think that the heart is beating a little more slowly. Okay, so we know how to slow down the heart. So at what point do you astrally project when you slow this thing down, though? Oh, like how do we know? Okay, so the normal heartbeat, of course, can be said to vary more or less in different individuals. And while the physical body is naturally incapacitated to some extent during sleep, it's kind of obvious that a reduction of the pulsations have happened. Of 10 or 15 below normal will incapacitate the physical body mechanism still more profoundly. And you can determine your own condition of passivity far better than anyone else can do for you. You can reduce it amazingly, so much so that it can scarcely be detected in its beating. If before going to sleep you should feel yourself becoming cold or chilly when you should not be, or believe that you can feel air blowing lightly upon your legs or arms, you have the evidence of incapacity, which will be profound when you do sleep. You do not, however, want to be cool to the extent of discomfort. Try to hit upon some arrangement whereby you can be both cool and comfortable. Okay, so if you don't like this slow heart idea and would prefer to try the experiment with the usual degree of passivity you possess during sleep with a normal heart rate, you can do so and still not be immune to success. For as you know, many projections take place in this degree of physical calm. But naturally, the greater the incapacity the greater the chance of success. And it is for this reason that I've given the instructions for producing more profound incapacity. Man, I got to stop reading. This is killing me. What is it? Eustress is good stress? What's up, Ava? Jessica Nicole. All right, well, that's something I'm going to try tonight. I'm going to try to slow my heart rate down and see if I can feel it. I mean, I've mastered the ability. I can relax like a cat. I went from being this guy that had panic attacks all the time that couldn't relax for shit, and now I can relax like a cat. Just like that. I mean, it takes a little longer than that, but I can do it. But this whole feeling your heartbeat slow down and controlling the beats and stuff, that's pretty cool. This whole thing was about incapacitating the physical body so that your astral will come out. Yeah. It's like reading Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, a little it is. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of freaked out about the whole heartbeat thing because when I was I guess I'm a little traumatized from it. When I was a kid, damn, did I miss a phone call? Did somebody call the damn show and I didn't hear it? So when I was a kid, I used to freak myself out and I could feel my heart rate. I'll tell you the story. How I astrally projected a tulpa or something. I guess, I don't know what the hell it was. And if you've heard the story, sorry, I'm like Al Bundy. I like to tell the same damn stories over and over again because they're fun to tell, you know. It's not for you, it's for me. I'm a bit narcissistic. That's why I'm sitting here talking about myself. So, let me make sure I didn't miss a phone call from the show, though, real quick. I think I did. Uh-oh. Barb sent me a picture of her LTV socks. Hell yeah. Did you got some LTV Shaq socks? Everybody should get a pair. Okay. So when I was a kid, I used to freak myself out, man. Like, I was raised by my dad, who's a hard ass. So anything there wasn't a lot of comfort, hugs and kisses growing up. Not even from my grandmothers. They were, and I'm a Cancer moon. So imagine a little man baby as a baby with hard asses raising you, right? Yeah, you can call see the flashing thing up there, 501-777-5631. So I would think about things and freak myself out. Like something was coming to get me all the time. And when I would lay my head on my pillow on my right side, my room was tiny. I remember that. Right across the hallway from my dad's room. In fact, he still lives in that house, and I'm still there, you know, like right across from him. Not right now, but I was always still there, you know. And I would make sure that he would keep the door open. And when he would shut his door, I'd jump up out of my bed and open it because if something was going to come after me, I wanted to be able to run into his room. You know, Dad, keep the monsters away, so to speak. But I would see things with my eyes open. If I laid on my left side, the light from the street light would come into the room and reflect off of the wall. And I would just see stuff all the time, not be able to sleep. So I'd turn over on my right side and face the wall. That way, if there was shit back there behind me that would freak me out, whatever, I can't see it. It can't bother me. But I would start freaking myself out to the point where my heart rate would increase or start to beat louder, you know. And I could hear it in my ear, just in my pillow, you know. And for some reason, I started telling myself that wasn't my heart. That wasn't my heart. I guess I didn't know because the memories are kind of hazy. But I guess I didn't know that was my heartbeat. And I thought that it was like steps, you know, steps from something that was coming after me. So one night I really just freaked myself out with my mind. I'm like, something's coming up behind me. Something's there. And it's walking like it's coming up the street. I would just think crazy stuff. And it would make my heart beat harder and faster. And this one time I got brave enough to roll over and look. And I'll be damned if there wasn't something just sitting there looking at me. I was not, this crap happened to me all the time when I was a kid. And I wasn't looking at like, I don't know, I wasn't asleep. I saw it with my own eyes. Just like a schizophrenic or something sees something that's not there. But it was the short, fat, I couldn't make out its face, but it was short. It was about 4 foot, fat thing standing in my doorway. Just looking at me, like right across the hall from my dad's. I have to run through this thing to get to my dad's room. And it did exactly what I feared that it was going to do. It came into my room, stood in the doorway between me and my father, and just looked at me. And as soon as I saw this damn thing, I immediately I turned and flipped back over to the wall on the right side. And I told myself, it's not real, it's not real. It's not real. Whatever. Flip back over. There it is again. And I finally got the nerve up. This was one thing that happened to me. I got the nerve up to just run through it. And I screamed as loud as I could. And I ran through it, jumped in my dad's bed and was like, there's something in my room. Da, 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 da. It's looking at me, whatever. And, same thing. Pop would get up. He'd go in there, flip the light on, tell me I'm an idiot. It's the same. No, this is exactly how he would say it. There's nothing in here, son. Same shit that's in the dark is in the light. Same shit. Nothing's in here. Look, and that's how he would talk. And he would flip the light up, off, and on while he was talking to me that way. See? Nothing there. You're okay. Go back to sleep. And I'm like, something's there. The second time that happened, I felt things touching me, grabbing me, and like attacking me. But I won't go into that. But when this guy starts talking about the heartbeat, listening to your heartbeat and feeling it, I don't know. That might bring up some old memories, right? Because that's what I used to do when I was a kid, and it would freak me out. 201 area code. You're on the air. Who are we speaking with?
This is Jehudi.
Jehudi. Thoth himself, huh? What's up,
no,
man?
I'm Jehudi Mithras, not just Jehudi,
Oh, you're a different version. Gotcha.
It was a name that was, I guess it was given to me. I don't know. I guess maybe I was astral projecting. I'm not sure, but I was like, it's a long story. We can get into that later, but yeah.
Well, what's on your mind?
I don't remember your name. What was your name?
My name is Joe.
Hey, Joe.
You've listened to the show? You don't know what my name is? This is called a virtual handshake.
Bruh. I mean, I saw you. Where did I see you? I think it was on Juan. It was on Juan's.
Juan's podcast, yeah.
And I just started listening to you. I think I caught maybe about 2 or 3 shows.
Juan's cool. So what's on your mind?
I feel just motivated to call, and I think when you were speaking of Juan, or something like in the first show we were talking about, you had these shows, and it was kind of a little bit less of a larger audience, and kind of people who are really into what you're speaking about. So the out of body stuff is kind of, you mentioned that you want to speak to somebody who can really do raw out of body projections, and I finished all the tapes. And did you finish all the tapes, Joe?
Yeah, man. I've been doing this for a while now. Like, I want to find more people that are doing it,
Got you.
And I want to help people.
So,
that's just to let you know, which I don't like talking about my quote purpose out in public, but since I had that first experience, all I could think about was getting other people to that etheric experience. But what I found was a ton of people talking about astral projection that had nothing to do with that same experience that I had, whether they were lucid dreaming, using active imagination, or having dreams they were astrally projecting. It wasn't that etheric experience. So I'm still wading through that while I'm trying to help people have that experience, you see.
Got you. Yeah, okay. So your experience with the tapes. Well, I've been doing it for, I want to say, maybe 7 months, and there was a little bit of time in between that where I wasn't at all, probably maybe about, no, actually, I would take that back. I wasn't doing it as extensively as I was doing it before.
Cool.
Just because of the time. It has been extremely helpful. I kind of started with the first 3 tapes.
Are you talking about the Monroe tapes?
Those. Yeah, the Monroe tapes. Yeah,
Right.
You know, first 3 tapes, and I started moving on, and I think like started getting interesting because the synchronicities, and this can be attributed also to meditation in general. I'm sure, but the synchronicities were increasing, so it was almost as if the timing of my life would be. It was almost as if I would open the door, my front door, and the mailman would just be handing me the mail, or you know, I would drive to my grandmother lives close by, so I'd drive to her house, and she would just be coming back home at that exact time. You know, she was coming back from wherever she was.
Yeah, you were in that that's called the zone in esoteric spiritual talk, where where you're vibing perfectly and everything's synchronistic all the time, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so using those tools, and here's the interesting thing too, is that I've always been in that zone, so to speak. I've had some, to put it lightly, some experiences. Like back in 2020, I would say was one of the culminations, but I've also had another one probably maybe about a week ago, which is kind of the reason why I'm calling now. So I feel like I need to share this to somebody who won't
think you're crazy.
Looking.
Yeah. Well, tell us
not
what
that it really matters. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it was like 2020, and before anything happened, I would just be on my computer, and it was almost as if my computer was the video I was watching, even though it would be maybe 6 months ago when it was recorded. It was almost as if the video I was watching was speaking to my present location, like locale, I could say, in time and space. So it was almost as if, I remember one time I was, I don't remember, I was watching this girl, she was talking about some spiritual stuff. I don't remember precisely what it was, but she was just talking. I said, okay, this is interesting. And then I heard a loud noise outside my window in my apartment. And I looked to the side, and the lady, I kid you not, in the YouTube video recorded 6 months ago, looked out the window at the same direction as the noise, and just said, "Whoa, I just heard something."
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm going through this dilly-dallying. I'm meeting some people, some friends. I don't know if they were friends. They were just kind of weird, but I think they were definitely evil. Okay, I'll admit it. I think they were trying to thwart or prevent me from kind of developing any kind of gifts and spiritual gifts. And I kind of felt that they were sort of Judases in a way, but I was looking at them and
they started cramping your style, or they betrayed you?
They just had a lot of fear. I would say they seemed to continuously. I mean, I give you an example. I'm a Christian, but I'm not a Christian. If that makes sense.
I understand.
Like I look at all the religions. I look at Buddhism. I'm actually mostly Kemetic. So, if you go by my name, so if you know the history of Christianity, then you know.
I know exactly where it all comes from, brother. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's why I'm doing all these other videos to try to lessen the fear of everything, but it's hard. You know how hard it is.
Yeah. I guess at this point, yeah, I guess we could say that for another day, but yes, It is what it is. But anyway, she was Christian. She was actually Jewish, Jews for Jesus kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. But the one issue that I have with a lot of Christians is that they have this kind of idea that this devil, or Satan, as you might call him, has any kind of competition. There's a battle between devil and God.
Yeah,
and so
dude, I've done 3-4 shows on that. Like it's in I swear to God, like it's in our human nature to like there has to be a war going on all the time. So
yeah,
you know, God and the devil must be fighting each other. I mean, we war here on Earth,
right.
So that's how reality has to work, right? There must be a war going on. It's like not really, you know, doesn't have to be.
Right. So she's just kind of, oh my gosh, the devil's over there, and there's UFOs across the street. I see a gray alien over there. Be careful. Blah, 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 blah. And I'll just be looking at her. And it was kind of an exercise in a way for me to take control of my emotions. And I'm kind of similar to you. I'm also Aries, by the way.
I'm an Aries son. Yeah, too. Hell yeah.
Word. Yeah. I listen. I listen a little bit. You know. Anyway, so yeah, but it was just.
So wait, are you saying that they were saying this stuff to you because, you know, naturally what happens, dude, when you start getting into the spiritual zone that you're talking about, and I did the same thing, we want to share it with everybody because it's so profound, right? It's so profound. So you probably weren't just not only living that lifestyle, but either way, you were projecting this place of you stepping into this authentic self, this initiation that was happening to you, right? And anytime that happens, there is always going to be adversarial stuff there to try to stop it. And I, after a long years of struggling and being pissed at people, realized that adversarial struggle is actually a natural thing. And it comes through people that are close to you, actually, as a test.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And it was a heck of a test. I mean, it was at work. It was almost as if something was just stopping me from being successful and telling me to just leave. But I would be looking at my computer, and my computer, like, I'll give you another example of another synchronicity. I get a phone call from somebody. It was in sales and working at an accountant firm, pretty mundane, worldly, a job, if you will. And I was going through kind of a slump in the sales, and I get a really good phone call from a guy who wants to purchase a lot of what we offered. I get off the phone with him, and I just start looking at the numbers, and it was like it was pretty much 5 different numbers to identify the record in the computer. And I was looking at the numbers, and I was watching. I said, holy I don't know if I can curse on the show, but it had my birthday written out. But not only did it have my birthday, it was kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it is. And then it also had my life path number. And what did it have? It was my birthday, my life path number, and I believe it had my destiny number or something. It was, I'm looking at it, so I'm looking, and I'm saying, something is trying to interface with me, and more things happen, more things. And
that's a good phrase, interface.
Yes.
Yes. That's a perfect phrase for it. Yep.
So, but I I'm trying to, not really trying, I'm just kind of walking, going through my life. And just these happenstance occurrences happened that would appear as they were limitations and whatever you want to say. long story short, it was a huge test. I actually was homeless for a little bit, but not in a bad way. But it was a huge test, and something was telling me that I need to go to the city next to where I was living at the time. It was in Florida. We'll just say that. And it was kind of something was talking to me and telling me to go, and I just went. And when I got there, it was a lot of magic where I was kind of living. You can kind of, it was this visceral kind of magical something, kind of that New Orleans kind of feel to it. You can kind of, I can't really describe it.
That Disney magic? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I did live in Orlando for a little bit. There is some magic over there too. Yes, absolutely. Close to that. But anyway, it was this one day where I was teaching somebody about the tarot, and I just met a friend. I was kind of at this party sort of thing. It was on a college campus. And my friend just would listen, and he wouldn't even kind of object or ask many questions. He was just
taking it all in.
I enjoy, yeah, just soaking it all in. And we just hung out. And when I left, you know, it was in the morning, 4 or 5 a.m. or something. We were hanging out. When, you know, we parted ways, the last thing I said, before we parted ways rather, I said, yeah. And then after you get the wisdom from all the teachers that you can get the wisdom from on earth, then other teachers will come in. They might not be like in a body, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And after that happened, I don't know what I did, but I kind of was just walking around in the city. It was on, what is that? It's like a holiday in January. It's a Christian holiday, and I had no idea it was a holiday at the time. I don't know. I was just walking around, just kind of looking around, following stuff. What happened was maybe a portal opened up, and it was like the whole city was circling around me. I felt as if I was the cobblestone, and the whole world was like, the whole city was kind of circling around me. And it was, people were talking, random people were walking by, talking and saying things in my ear about thoughts that I had months ago. And I had some intuitive experiences, but
I feel like you're trying to say something. I'm really waiting on you to get to what it feels like. You're kind of nervous about trying to say something here.
Okay.
Just say
I am a little bit. because you're kind of one of the first people I'm telling this to, but I feel like I should be telling you. What do you,
You don't know what
now
to
I'm
say?
trying to think, should I really say it? Should I really say it?
Yeah, you should.
Well, nobody. Well, I've told some people about it. I told a couple, but they're not really on the level. But I kind of, I'm seeing that there's like a Christ figure, so to speak, and you can maybe clear this up a little bit. And I'd like to get your feedback on this. There's a Christ figure, but there's also Buddhists.
Mm-hmm.
So what would make Christ so unique among the other spiritual gurus that we have, that have been walking
Christ,
on the earth?
You're talking about Yeshua ben Joseph? The guy's the Greek called Jesus Christ. That's what they named him.
Yehoshua.
Yeah. The rabbi Yeshua ben Joseph, or Yahshua, that they named Jesus Christ. That guy. And there was nothing special about him. He even said that to us. I'm the same as you are. But he also taught us that what we really are too. And if you don't believe in that, then believe in him. Right? Not believe in me or you're going to burn in hell. But he was aware at the time that people's mindset. And it was such a profound place and time too that this happened, where it happened at the perfect time, that our history is actually based upon this thing, AC, BC and AD and all this stuff, because that was the central power system of the world.
Correct.
So like Buddha, Krishna, all these other people that have come along, Quetzalcoatl, all these other people said the same thing. It's the same consciousness. It's the same thing. The veil parted for them. They spread their message to the people. And instead of people actually getting the message about what's going on and who they are as a people, God in the flesh, that's pretty much what we all are, is God in the flesh. That's what we all are. That's where every person walking around, whether you like them or not, has the source inside them. But depending on what time era you were from, you couldn't really say stuff that way, because they were sacrificing goats and drinking blood to have forgiveness for their sins. So he tried to fix that stuff. And that's all you can do at the time you're in, is help the people around you with what you know and what you're experiencing relative to what's going on in the world,
Right. And I'm kind of asking this question to get some feedback on your belief system and things. I really just wanted to share that along with the Monroe tapes, that they work. It's very interesting, because the last time I finished all of them and I actually got to the eighth tape. When I got to I was getting around the 7th. That's when I had this one experience where I did the meditation. I got out of it and I put on some music, and it was like all the actions, everything that was going on around me was to the beat of the music. And like, no, here it is. I was listening to the tape, and the tape was giving directions on where to go. And the world around it's the concept of clicking in, I think it is. Yes, clicking in. So it was kind of giving directions on where to go, what to do. And lately I've been kind of clicking in pretty consistently. And so I'm at this point, right, where I'm thinking I would actually want to meet somebody else who clicks in frequently as well. And so, because now it's almost as if there's a concept of God. Of course there's God, but it's like it's a combination of, okay, so your birthday is literally a cube. One birthday adds up to a cube. Okay. And then you go into it a little bit more and you're saying, okay, well, your birthday is like a divine proportion in the middle of your birthday. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Pretty spiritual. All right.
I mean, what are you trying to say here? Are you saying that you're Christ and nobody else is, or you have a special ability that you're aware of, or you're a special person that you've become aware, that you have special gifts, and you just don't, you're not vibing with people, like you're not connecting with other people that have those gifts? Or do you have this great idea of who you are? Like, just say it, man.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, you pretty much you have yes, you do.
It's
not. I'm not. It's actually supposed to peak at around 40.
Yeah,
I've been told. But yeah.
But
so
you gotta stop worrying. You gotta stop. Don't worry about what people think. That's what you got to get past. Whether you think you're past that or not, I don't think you are.
You know what? Here's the thing. I don't want anybody to know.
That's a good thing too, though. Because it's like, I don't want, I kind of prefer it just to, as it says in scripture, that he would come in like a thief in the night. And that's exactly how I prefer it, because it's interesting. I have I tell people, I drop some wisdom and some knowledge sometimes, and a lot of people just don't get it. Because I have one experience. I actually was taken to heaven, actually twice now. No, 3 times. Well, the show ended 17 minutes ago, man. You're gonna have to call back in and tell us about this stuff, bro.
If it's interesting, I don't want to bore anybody.
Well, you're not boring anybody, man. It's just like you're taking a long time to get to the point. And I think it has something to do with like what you just said. Like, if I share this, it could probably fuck it up, right? Like, you don't want to do that. But you want to talk about it because you want to relate to people, which you're in the void, dude. That's part of the void, you know?
I've said enough. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, it sucks. I understand. Believe me. There's still shit I don't talk about because I know better, you know. But I love
today
you, man.
I was actually kind of told to start talking. So.
Yeah, dude, don't hide your light, man. And if people don't want to accept it, they don't want to accept it. I wanted to share that with you. I appreciate it, brother.
And yeah, we'll talk later.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, you can email me too. Like if it's like a really long, detailed thing, email me.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Producer at fringe.fm. Let me know what's going on with you.
Absolutely. I'm good, Jeff. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. You have a good night.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you.
Dehootie, everybody. Man, I'm so happy that, like, just talking about this stuff, like, brings that kind of energy around, you know? Because you got to, there's all kinds of people walking around that just, they have an awareness that they don't want to share with people for whatever reason. You know, one of the main reasons that you start learning is that I've learned the hard way. Like what he was talking about earlier, I thought that I was attracting people into my life that were there to like, we were there to lift each other up. And that's what you always want to do, is you want to be in situations that you're with people that lift you up and that you lift them up. But what happened was, it was just more tests, right? They come in as like the same kind of people, but as the relationship starts building, the alchemy starts taking place and the dark shit starts coming out. And I literally had a person that claimed to love me. I was their favorite person on the earth. And then when you could see the demon, and like just the demon came out in them, and they literally told me they wanted to knock me down a peg or two. Think about that. A person from 3 days before that's telling you like they're vibing with you so much and you're vibing with them. But in reality, there's this like underlying granule thing where they want to knock you down, you know. And what happens, and I think a lot of times what happens to all of us, is when we get to a certain vibration, the people that, it doesn't matter what you're vibrating, you could be vibrating just a happy person all the time, or you could be successful, or you could be more knowledgeable or more wise, or you just know certain things, whatever it is. Some people don't like that, and they're not conscious about it. It's a program in their unconscious. That means the unconscious is where all these little spirits like to play. And they're not going to play through you because you're aware of them. They're going to play through the people that are closest to you. And so let's say you're vibrating at this level, and they're vibrating at and I'm not saying you're better than them, right? In a lot of ways, this person that you think is down here might have things in their life that are up here and you're down here. But it just depends on the element, right, that you're working with. But let's say in a certain element, you're up here and they're down here, and you're vibrating on different frequencies. Well, for some reason, instead of you're trying to build this person up to that frequency, and instead of them rising to that frequency with you, all it does is it reminds them that they're not at that frequency, and it pisses them off, and unconscious things start to happen, and they want to pull you down to their frequency so they feel safer, so they don't feel more afraid. Because Jane nailed it the other day, right? Like, she said that true freedom is what people are scared of, and that's the fact. Being responsible for you in every single way. That includes your spirit, the reason why you're here, where you're going after, your life, everything you manifest, everything that, your relationships, everything. And knowing like you have the power to have ultimate fulfillment and abundance in all of these things if you want them. It was told to you by many teachers that have come down to us. You can have all of this if you just wake up. But people are afraid of that. They're afraid of it. Because if there's not something to blame or someone to knock down a peg or two to get them down to where you are, you know, or like you just feel like this person's lucky all the time. They're just lucky all the time. Or this person has friends and I don't. Or this person has money and I don't. Or this whatever it is. Or this person understands something I don't. Or they think they're this or that. Well, I'm going to knock them down a peg or two. What's really going on is the child inside of them needs to feel comfortable, because being in the void scares the shit out of them. There's no one to blame. There's no gods out to get you, no programs out to slave you. Right? You are the program. You're the program and the programmer. And if you can't handle that, most of us can't handle that in a certain way. You should look at this whole damn thing, in my opinion, as an adventure. It's just an adventure. All right. your body and all the stuff that you're focused on and everything that you fret about and obsess about here on this earth and all this other stuff, it's just a very temporary adventure for you to experience. And not only that, all the senses in your body and everything that you're taking in, all this data while you're alive in this body, is feeding. It's a feedback thing. It's all it is a little finger that the source puts into a planet and pulls it out when it's done to get feedback from. And now you're just a part of that source again. So when people don't understand that, I guess is what I'm trying to say to help you out, Dahudi, before we get out of here. When they don't understand that, you feel like you're in the void. And you're always, once you realize, like, think about this. If God was God, all right, God, the God, I am that I am, there's nothing to relate to. There's nobody to talk to, nothing to relate to, nothing to even define myself. How do I know I'm God? Is anybody else calling me God but God? How do I know I'm source? You don't know anything. You know nothing. All you know is that you're a consciousness. That's the void. You belong in the void. The very thing that scares you is your ultimate true nature, is where you live. So all of this, or the fact that we can even talk to each other and relate, is pretty damn cool. It's just an experience. Still, the mystery of love resides, though. And so shall this show. We'll probably be back tomorrow. I don't know about not tomorrow, but at least I'm going to be putting up those tarot videos by the weekend. So I'm adjusting to my new schedule, my new sleep schedule. So that's why I look like I'm about to fall over, because I'm getting about 4 hours of sleep every day. But anyways, I love, we lost, see what happened to Hootie? We lost him, man. They're talking about video games in the chat. We keep talking, dude, and keep this thing dragging on. They'll be talking about hot dogs or, fleas on a cat before it's all over with. By the way, I love Destiny too. Good night, y'all. Sweet dreams. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Night night.